When you have your girls, you're never alone. You get together for coffee, maybe to work out, or just to laugh. We created Hey Girl, just for you. Can't wait for you to join us.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Hey Girl. This is episode 45. We are doing big things, girls. We're doing big things. And I'm so glad you joined us. Hey, if you are joining us for the first time, I'm here to let you know that Hey Girl is a safe space where you can share your experiences and be affirmed. Let's face it, life can be complex and sometimes overwhelming. That's why we believe in the power of conversation, because knowing you're not alone is what helps us get through. And I'm so glad to have my girl Kendra with me today. Hey, girl.
Hey girl, hey, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
Honey, what do I say? Good. G-O-D. Good.
Indeed.
Okay. I capitalized the three letters in that
Indeed.
word. What's going
I
on?
know that's right. I know that's right. Oh, I am fantastic. So thankful for another day of life. I cannot complain. It's a little chilly here, but it's not as cold as it has been. It's been
You
real cold.
know, y'all can have that cold weather. I'm
I'm
serious. I'm from North
I don't know
Carolina
what
and I've been impressed with how you've handled it in Alabama. I really have. So
I mean,
if you've been freezing
snow.
the last week, put it in the
Yeah,
comments for real.
for real. What is the weather like where you are? Because it has been unseasonably cold in places that it usually isn't. Alabama being one, of course, Texas being the other. It's crazy. And for some reason, where I live in Huntsville in particular, just north of the city, it's like a whole different world from just 10 miles down the road. Like we still have snow, inches of snow in my yard. And when I left yesterday and went just 10 miles away, it was like nothing. So I don't know what's going on in Tony in particular, but we got a whole winter wonderland happening. So, and I know so many people in Texas are dealing with that. Yeah.
Yes, I'm in Waxhaw outside of Charlotte. I'm good. Y'all can have it. I want snow for 2 days. That's it.
I know.
Fall, leave. That's all. But we'd like for you all to
I
say hello in the comments and tell us where you're from.
yes. Yes. Oh, do I see Shauna joining us? Hey girl. I see you. Jennifer, good to see you there. Who else is
Oh,
I'm
that's my girl Jen. She's in Greensboro.
Hey, awesome. What's the weather like in Greensboro? And Shauna's in Florida, so I know she's got sunshine. I'm just so jealous of that.
Yes, 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 yes. Well,
Yeah,
we invite
I
you all to like, follow, and share. Hey Girl Facebook. Invite a friend to watch. We've got a wonderful
yeah,
show coming with a guest that I call personally my little sister, but we'll get into that. So, all right,
I
Kim, I'm
know.
a hush. You
Well,
go ahead.
no,
You
you're
lead us.
good. Absolutely. No, you're doing fantastic. You are absolutely right. I'm super excited about our guest today. And I'm just excited about the theme that we've been talking about all month, honestly. I think this might be one of my favorites, Black women in beauty. And we had awesome conversation last week with Nicole Hughes, and she was giving us some good information about our hair and how to take care of it, the do's and the don'ts of hair care, what we shouldn't be doing. We shouldn't be pulling it too tight. We shouldn't forget to wear our scarf at night, all the things that we know, right? This is how we maintain our beautiful tresses, whatever style they may be. So, what other do's or don'ts do you have for hair care?
So,
That you can,
interestingly enough, I am now, obviously, I have locks. I have done it all
yeah,
with hair, okay? All.
yeah,
Short hair, I mean, go to the barber shop to relaxed hair, I mean, the creamy crack to
mm-hmm.
sew-ins and extensions. But the best thing I have learned that's great and needed for my hair is water. Water,
Oh,
water,
yes, that's
water.
so
My
simple.
intake of water. It's so simple. My intake of water. And
Yeah.
guess what we don't need? I don't need grease all over my scalp. My scalp produces its own
Uh,
oils. So I don't know about you,
That's
but I
old
had that
school.
moment that would like part,
That's
yes.
old school.
And yeah, it's old school, but you'd be surprised as to how many people still think that they need to do that and they don't let their scalp breathe. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
let the scalp breathe, okay? Let it breathe.
I wonder if that's a controversial statement. Some people might still think they need to oil their scalp.
just please don't let it be blue magic, okay? Just don't do that. Just don't do that. No blue
Not
magic.
blue magic. Do they still sell that?
I don't know.
That's funny. That is funny. But there's another, I guess, debate maybe among Black hair women who deal with their hair who are Black, and that is between whether or not to perm. So chemicals in general, nowadays especially are sort of like the no-go. Like you just do not. But there's so many of our hair products historically that have just been chemical, related. In other words, lyes and, just harsh, really, chemicals have been used from the beginning, I think, to maintain our hair. And so this whole natural revolution is sort of, I guess, has been rather sort of a rebellion against the harsh chemicals for various reasons. Yet there are those who are, like, no, I'm gonna hold on to the creamy crack. I'm gonna, what do you all think about natural versus permed hair? Kendra, you said you've done it all. I've done it
For
all.
me, I've done it all. I've done it all, and I'm not afraid to say, this may not be me. I don't know. I mean, look, I'm constantly changing and evolving, and it's just hair. It's just hair. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
From those that appreciate the relaxer, which is also what sodium hydrochloride. I don't know. It's a chemical. For those that
Yeah.
use that, hey, do what makes you feel good. Is my point. I am not here to judge you on how you choose to wear your hair. Beautiful, whatever that is. And for
You're
me,
breaking
I
up
got
a little bit,
away
Kendra.
because I didn't want. Okay, I'm breaking. Okay, can you hear me
I'm
now?
not sure if it's. I hope. Let me know in the comments if Kendra's breaking up for you. She's breaking up for me. I don't know if that's just on my side, but yeah, I think I hear what you're saying. You're not. Are you connected to your
Okay,
Wi-Fi?
I'm not on my Wi-Fi. Can you hear me?
Okay, I hear you now. Let's see how it
Okay,
goes.
yeah. Come on, Holy Spirit, stay with us.
We're gonna pray over the technology, Lord. Keep the signal strong. Go
Keep it
ahead.
strong. Yeah, I think I'm off the Wi-Fi. But anyway, I don't have any judgment when it comes to how women choose to wear their hair, relaxed or not, natural, locks, coils. Just wear what makes you feel beautiful. That's my mantra.
Yeah. Though the whole natural movement has been, it has happened before. This is not the first time there's been a natural movement. Of course, back in I guess it was the 60s, we did the afros were big and all of that. But there does seem to be, along with the do what you want, do what you feel attitude, there's also an attitude of betrayal that some feel when there are Black women who do not want to go natural, or they go natural and then decide to go back to relaxing their hair. And so it's clearly bigger than just a feeling, oh, I feel like wearing my hair straight today. There seems to be associated with the desire to be natural or not, something philosophical, or something that has a deeper meaning than just, why would a group of women who are natural feel betrayed by someone in their group who decides to go perm their hair? Right? Like that's the actual language that has been used. Oh, she betrayed us. What is that? Where is that coming from?
I think for a lot of us in our community, we so want to be embraced by in general. Like we want to be loved, and we feel, oh, you know what? I'm here. I'm at this stage, and I want you there too. I love you. You love me. I want you there in this place where self-love is continuing to grow. And I would think that a lot of times it's just about where we are and how we want to make sure that others are there along with us. I, for one, in my journey, I had to get to a place where my natural look became my professional look. That's not for everyone, but I became comfortable in that. And so there are those that do try. They head out on this journey of natural hair, and they decide, you know what? Yeah, too much work. I don't want to do that. Hey,
Yeah.
different strokes for different folks. That's what I call it. when we come down to philosophy and things like that, it's all a matter of what is personally best for you. I am not going to be that girlfriend that says, yeah, you and I can't hang together because you decide to go back to straight. Straight is whack. That's, it's a personal preference.
Yeah.
It really is. So, you know,
Angela Wright Brown says, "Hey girls, hey, I'm a natural, never going back. Exactly what makes you feel beautiful." I agree. So yeah, but you also said, Kendra, that if there are those who don't want to, practice that self-love and da, 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 you kind of breeze past that. But is it self-hatred then if you decide to go against what your natural hair does?
absolutely not. That's not self-hatred. That's you deciding what skin you want to be comfortable in. You know, I do not think that choosing to wear your hair straight means that you don't care about your heritage. You don't give, you're flippant about your identity or your roots. I don't buy into that. But who am I? I'm Kendra. I'm just me. So I say again, whatever it is that is personally comfortable for you and what allows you to feel beautiful, because we all are made in God's image. We're all beautiful. What allows you to feel that way, not what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that we have to do some soul searching and ask ourselves, why am I making the choice that I am for my hair, whichever way it is, right? And we've talked a lot about beauty and what that means and who gets to determine what is beautiful. But we cannot, and this is what I keep saying, we also cannot disconnect how our attitudes about what is beautiful are also connected to what others perceive as beautiful. And so we want to say, oh, I'm just going to do me. I'm going to do what I want, do what feels good, as though we live on an island and no one is, what other people think is not in any way factoring in. And I think if we have that attitude, we're really fooling ourselves, because absolutely we care what others think. And so the question is, how much does that weigh in our decision to do what we do with our hair? And, one of the things that influenced me when I first went natural, when I went natural the most recent time, because I've done it off and on through the years. But Chris Rock had that documentary, Good Hair. And what struck me in that was the attitude that certain people had towards coily, kinky textures. And it was sort of like, oh, that can never be beautiful. And I was like, I felt personally offended. And I'm like, well, what if that's who I am? What if that's what naturally my hair does? And you're basically saying I never will have access to beauty as long as I rock that texture or that style. And then what hit me even more was when he went into a lab with a scientist who broke down the chemicals that are in perms. And he was like, and Chris Rock was like, yeah, people, put this in their hair. And the scientist was like an Asian or some European. I can't remember what nationality he was, but he was confused. He was like, what? Why? Like, why would people put this on their skin, on their hair? It was this horror. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was such a moment in the documentary, because it seemed to speak to a violence that we do against ourselves for the sake of achieving this standard.
I found for me, Kim, that was the most critical component for me moving toward the natural journey. I was pregnant at the time, and I remember the perm burns. You remember those back in the day?
Yeah. Oh,
and I just said, I'm carrying a child, and I want to make sure that all that I imbibe and everything that I put in my body is healthy for my daughter. Or once I learned, of course, I was having a girl, but I want that to be healthy. And so that started my journey many, many moons ago. I do believe that we are still a very Eurocentric based society in terms of what we believe to be beautiful. Now, are we breaking barriers and shattering ceilings? Yeah, to a large degree. I even have seen most recently newscasters, Black anchor women that said, look, I wore my braids on screen today. I came out of my shell and decided I was going to put the straight hair, move away from that. And again, it's going to take time, as with most things, but I do see us starting to embrace much more fully this idea that our coils and our naps are beautiful.
Yeah. So I want to play a clip right now I agree, by the way. I'm not trying to move past what you just said. Absolutely, everything you just said. I want to play a clip, though, of an interview because, of course, we just recently lost a beautiful icon in Cicely Tyson, who, honestly, she's worn her hair in many different styles. I've seen her with wigs. I've seen her with coils and braids and straight and all kinds of. She's just. I'm just it's such a loss for us. But I want to play a clip of someone talking about Cicely Tyson in particular, and this whole idea of Black women in their hair. So let's take a listen.
I think Black women and our hair is a revolution unto itself, because how we choose to wear it is so telling about how we want to walk through the world, how we want to be perceived, and I think that straight hair, natural hair, curly hair, big hair, short hair, long hair, it's a form of expression. And so I believe that particularly Black women have the right to wear their hair however they choose. And there's a freedom in that. And I think for Miss Cicely Tyson to wear her hair, well, she's worn it many ways, but very early on in her career, for it to be natural and just beautiful and glistening, and it sends a message to other Black women that you too are as stunning and as beautiful and as radiant as Miss Cicely Tyson is, and your hair is beautiful, and you are beautiful, and your skin is beautiful. I think that's what she basically would say every time she was on screen without having to say it. Her deciding to wear her hair natural in its natural state was almost a form of protest.
Wow. How to wear her hair was a form of protest.
A form of protest.
Deciding how to wear her hair. And I think that's key. It's the decision, and it's the thought that goes behind the decision, as I said before. So it's not about criticizing. What I'm saying here, let me make sure I'm clear. I'm not coming at anybody for any particular way that they choose to do their hair or what they choose to do with their hair. But I think that if we are honest with ourselves and do that sort of make sure it's what we do is out of self-love and not hatred for aspects of ourselves. And I think particularly when it comes to our hair, the statistics I have cited previously on the show is that Black women, 4 out of 5 Black women are overweight or obese, but 4 out of 5 Black women also don't care. They care more about their hair than their weight in terms of their beauty and how they're perceived. So it's huge for us. What we do or don't do with our hair is very telling, as Lena Waithe just expressed. But it's a good conversation to have. I'm sure we could say more on that, but I don't want to take away the time that we are going to spend today having a conversation with someone else who is an expert in hair. And we've already talked about natural and permed, but she has a different specialty when it comes to this conversation. So I'm excited to bring her to it. So Kendra, who is our guest today?
Our guest today is at the helm of a surging group of Black millennial entrepreneurs. She's a 34-year-old founder of So Natural Hair Boutique, which is a highly sought after entrepreneurship. She has clientele and industry peers who desire to learn her techniques. She has leveraged the power of social media. She's expanded her empire beyond Durham, North Carolina, my hometown, which is also her residence. Dionna has, I said her name. Oops. She traveled the world. She's traveled the world sharing her passion for helping her clients look and feel amazing. Currently a wig maker for television and film, a traveling stylist, an instructor for the So Natural technique, and a wife and a mother of 2. We are thrilled to introduce you to the one and only, my little sister, Dionna Owens.
Woo-hoo! Yay! Welcome. How are you, beautiful lady? Uh-oh, you're muted.
There we are. Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So good to have you. We want you to weigh in on this conversation about hair from the perspective that you've come to it from.
When
Do
it
you
comes
have any
to
comments before we start?
when it comes to Black women in general, I believe whether it's curly, wavy, straight, natural, or relaxed, it's your preference. With my specific clientele, I'd probably say that 99.9% of my clients are actually natural, and they transition from being relaxed to natural because of the technique that I use. And it makes it easy for us. Like when it comes to working out, when it comes to just wanting to love yourself as we are and have the approach of I woke up like this on a regular basis. We tend to lean towards more of the natural side, but either way, we can still all do many, many, many things.
That is very true. That is very true. Your hair is looking gorgeous, by the way. Can I just
Thank you
say?
so much. I appreciate that. It took me all but 5 minutes. I appreciate that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's talk. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay,
How
let's do it.
where are you from? How did you start the work that you do? What exactly do you do? But start from the beginning first before
Let's
you
start from
answer
the
all of
beginning.
those. Where are you from, and what is your background in terms of training and education?
Yes, I was born in Washington, D.C. I was also a military kid, so we moved along the East Coast. And I ended up being in North Carolina I'm a wife as well. And it started with the military, honestly, just kind of traveling and not really knowing who could style my hair. And it was usually my mom. And so when you're traveling as a military kid, you just don't have a real true base. And so that's how it all started. I'm also like one of 10 kids. So hair was a big thing in my house because who else was going to do your hair besides either yourself or possibly the mom that's probably running behind some other kids. So that's how that all started. I had to essentially fend for myself when it comes to hair.
Of the 10, how many are girls?
Let me see. There are Majul and myself. Is it 3? I'm missing one. I feel like it's 4 of us.
Wow, that
yeah.
many kids.
And I'm
you
the
can't
oldest.
even.
I'm the oldest. So
Mercy.
it becomes a situation that's like, wait a minute. And then I also tend to bring my kids in it too because I have a younger brother. So it's like I end up meshing my kids in with my sisters and brothers. So yeah, there are 4 girls including myself. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you being the oldest too, it's not like you had an older sibling who could do your hair. It was going to be either you or
my
if anything,
mom.
you had to help with the other kids, right?
And that was my task. So that was also my younger years when I learned to understand my gift of love to people was just spending time with them and doing their hair. So if I could do nothing else for you, we could sit down and chat while I braid your hair. So that was one of my favorite pastimes.
Cool. So did you go to like a beauty school or did you get your
Yes. So what was beautiful about that is that when I learned of my talents, now I've known I could braid hair all my life, but when it comes to actually knowing what my specialty was, I didn't learn that until later on in life, meaning I was 22, almost like 21-ish, just got married. And they introduced a new thing called the Natural Hair Care Specialist License, which allowed me to essentially skip over the idea of cosmetology and really work in the field that I wanted to work in because that's what I knew. So I got to go to Paul Mitchell for that and receive my license in natural hair care specialty. And they've essentially rolled out a whole new program now where it's even bigger than what it was when I first entered in, and they're offering more things and more people are switching over from cosmetology to natural hair specialist license because of those, the transition that we've all started to see on television. So television can really help to gear the way things are in our everyday life.
Very true.
Entirely true. When I met Dionna, she was at that 22-year-old stage. And let me tell you, she was so impressive by her desire to get it right. I mean, we're talking about hours of wanting to get it right. I would stay at her house. It felt like I might as well have had a bed over there when I got my hair done because Dionna was like, no, let me get this right. She wanted it to look just right and so natural, which is obviously the name of her business, so natural. But what really moved me by her was that it was the first time that I saw a stylist really treating her industry almost like a science that she had to figure out, that she would study and she would go back and she would, have a hypothesis. Maybe if I try this, maybe if I try that. How many stylists y'all had to do that? I know I didn't. That was not my experience. And that is what that was what I mean, I was enamored with her. I really was.
Yeah,
And how
you
did
were
you
one of my
guys
first clients.
meet?
So I have a style named after Kendra. So it's like she's one
Wow.
of my first clients. Yeah.
I'm impressed. How did you all connect?
I was we have a mutual friend. Is that right, D? We have a
Yeah,
mutual
we do.
friend who told me about her, and I found her on YouTube. And I looked at this girl's YouTube, and this was when YouTube was really just starting to like get to YouTube, where people were creating pages and or channels, I say. And and I was like, wow, this girl knows her stuff. And immediately I called her. She got me in. Now I can't call her like that today and get in her chair like I
Yes,
used
you
to be able
can.
to. But she was just at that time really starting to build her business, and I'm just so thankful to have saw it. To have seen it come from the bottom all the way to the top. I told her, I said, girl,
And
we're going
foresee
international one
so
day.
many things. Yes. Kendra was one of the first people to ever like foresee things that I was like, wait, what? I find it interesting too that when Kendra mentions what she saw in me, there is something that most people don't really pay attention to when it comes to being licensed and having raw talent, and then going with your license after the fact if you were actually developing that talent. There is a glitch that happens sometimes when you go directly into the path of licensure without actually really obtaining that full-on knowledge of your specialty. And I think because I was able to really go into the knowledge of my specialty first, I was able to really dictate and determine where my path would go. And so I think that's something that people need to understand. Like it's no specific, there's no rubric. You don't have to say, hey, this is what I want to do. Let me go straight into this, because in certain schools, they teach you certain rules. And so when Kendra mentions time, we all know in cosmetology school, there's no such thing as time. Everything is on the go. So because I never learned that, I was able to then really be able to be with my client and do the things that in the way that I wanted to do it. And then it helped me develop the brand that I have now. So essentially I made my own rules and then got licensed, and then here we are.
Okay.
Wow, I never thought about it from that perspective, Dionna. That is so true, because time was not an issue for her. I literally know that when I went over there, it could be 10 o'clock getting home. It might be 3 o'clock in the morning, but I knew when I left, it was going to look the way she
If you're
wanted
getting
it to,
color.
and I was willing.
I remember that night.
So,
but it was
talk a
all
little
worth
bit
it. It was all worth it.
about what exactly you are. Okay, two questions. Number one, when you started, did you have a shop, or were you just working out of your home, or were you doing the YouTube thing? Like, where was your start in terms of developing this technique?
Very good question. With YouTube, with me starting and studying YouTube, the people that I admired on there, a lot of people were out of their homes. And so that's what I knew. Also in North Carolina, you cannot go into a salon without being licensed. And so I got to really use my clients as a like, hey, can you let me do your hair? Would you mind being my client? It was more of like that. And so I did start in my home. I started in my living room, and then we moved the dining room into like a salon space. And I had pictures of Kendra many years ago in the dining room area, and we're just going at it. So that's why I started, and I moved on to the salon, and I got to understand the importance of having your work away from home. And that's how everything started from there.
But when you were home is when you were doing the YouTube, or did that YouTube come later?
Believe it or not, I was the most fearless when I was at home. When I first began, it was a matter of pick up the camera and just go for it. And so, I was doing YouTube at home. And then the whole scenery was basically my bathroom. I think a lot of the people that I follow now that are essentially, I consider my YouTube gurus that have moved on to bigger things as well. They started in their bathrooms, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And just being fearless. So that was one of the main things that helped me reach to this point.
I can remember the shower curtain in her bathroom as her backdrop. She was, yes. Mm-hmm.
That's so funny. So what is it that you were tweaking exactly? Are there several things when you talk about your technique and what you specialize in, or is there one key thing, and what is that?
I would say the one key thing is caring. That's the first thing. And then I always have to have a moment where I step back and become the client myself, because if you get away from being the client yourself, sometimes you'll start to the things that tied you together can start to come undone. And when it comes to technique, there is the hair industry is ever changing. So it became a situation where I had to really dial into what it is that my clients needed in terms of like what pulls too much with their hair. How do they want their hair to flow? Are they wearing ponytails? Are they wearing their hair down? And that's never a thing. We're always up and down over here. But it was always tweaking those little intricate details that I remember laying out all of my technique on YouTube. And then I would go back and study it. So it's always tweaking. I do this every single day, even with myself. Like, how can I make something better? And so I challenge myself all the time. And thankfully, we have social media where I can kind of compare my skills to another and figure out how can we do this a different way. So that's it.
Mm-hmm. So you're doing. You said you're doing women who are transitioning from perm to natural. So what are the different things that you're doing with them? What are the different styles? Is it all? Is it braids? Is it twists? Is it
It's a great
weave?
question.
Is it wigs? Is it
Great,
like
great
all of the
question. Great question. When it comes to braiding and twists and things like that, that's not my specific specialty. It was at one point in time, but as I transitioned over, I realized that there's some amazing braiders out here, like amazing. And so I leave that with what I consider my doctors of braiding. My specialty is specifically with extensions and wig making. I absolutely love sewing in extensions, even though people are starting to move away from that slowly but surely. I love extensions because you have the ability of not taking it off. And depending on your lifestyle, you can't just take your wig off at home. You should be able to, but not everyone can do that. And so I like the option of having installs where you're actually sewing the hair in using braiding and needle and thread technique. And I also love the idea of having to use extensions and create a wig like what I'm wearing today.
So I'm so fascinated by this because I can't even imagine where you'd begin with that. Like to start sewing a wig.
That's where you begin. You just start. And you have enough in you to know that, you know what, I can do it. There were many times I wanted to just like, no, I'm not gonna say the many times I wanted to. I've thrown a couple of mannequin heads when starting off because it's like, it's so frustrating. It looks so easy on YouTube. It looks so easy, but it's a matter of just starting. That's all you have to do. And then, like I said, be fearless. And that's what the audience is looking for people that's going to go out there and just do it. And that's what I've learned.
Somebody said in the comments, they said, that's a wig ?
Oh, yes.
So what is the trick to making it look so natural?
Oh, that's a good question. I found that I design my wigs like I design my installs. So if I place in mind how I want my install, which is when using needle and thread and your natural hair and your natural density, and I imagine me doing it like it's on your natural hair and what I see in person, I translate that same thing over into a unit. And we call it units because it's a bit more, a little bit classier than saying wig. But at least for my clients, we'll say a wig. It involves a lot of measuring. It involves a lot of just caring and then knowing how someone's natural hair looks, flows, and feels. And that's it.
I remember when Dionna was first just really, she was already in the salon, was starting to delve into the industry. And I still remember the days where she would literally have her hands on my head and she would be doing all these placements and her fingers and trying to feel. And Dionna was one of the first that I've ever known that made it really, really popular to make sure that you could have extensions and be able to wear your hair in a ponytail. And she mentioned that, but it's so, so, so important for women who want to go and run like I did. I want to be able to wear it up, but I don't want you to know I got, tracks.
That's right.
And she was one of the first in the industry that had that down. I mean, people would literally, she actually perfected her craft and started teaching people how to do that. So
I remember being ridiculed for that. I remember being being on I wasn't supposed to look at a message board and they were like, all she does is ponytails. And I'm like, all I do is ponytails? Is that all I am? And then I started to stray away from doing different things. And that's what helped to open the floodgates and just were like, you know what? This is my specialty. This is what I'm good at. And if I stick and stand in this, I can only get better. So
that's a word right there for everybody. Stick with what you're good at and you'll get better.
That's it.
Shauna is asking, can you describe your wig consultation process?
Oh, I get that question all the time. So the wig consultation process involves me I need a picture of yourself. I need a picture of your inspiration photo and the best you've ever looked. Those
Mhm.
things matter. Why? Because I need to be able to envision you the way that you are and create a look for you. There's nothing more exhausting than to get to your wig artist or your unit's artist and then be like, this is not me. So
Mm.
that's what the consultation consists of. And then, of course, it's something called a head mold. We use this in film industry and even on theater. You have to have a head mold created to fit with your natural hair. It's super easy, super easy. People overlook the process all the time, but it allows me to have your head in my hands without you actually physically being there. And then I'm also a very hands-on stylist, which most people don't even agree with. I don't like shipping off units without ever meeting you. I want to breathe life into the unit. And so if I have the opportunity to actually put the unit onto your head, then that makes me even happier. I get to be all intricate and tweezed and pluck and thin. And that's the process.
So the whole idea, obviously, because of the name of your business, is to make it look natural. It's not to
That's it.
change how you look. It's not to make
No.
you look like somebody else. Because we do that, right? We come into the salon, we go, I want to look like her. Make me look like Holly Berry right now.
I've had that moment.
I think we all had that moment. I had the Halle Berry cut, so I get it.
We all had it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't look any more like her than I do now. So
Nope,
that's
sure don't.
that's where we go wrong.
That's the trick.
And when Dionna talks about personalization, I have seen her catch flights at the last minute to make sure that a unit got specifically to one of her clients. And I mean, homegirl has 2 appointments, a day later that she's got. I mean, she's running on just energy and her passion and her drive. And I think that's what makes her so unique, is that this is who she is, and that type of service that she delivers is what has made her be. I mean, I want to go. I'll let her decide, tell what celebrities and what she's done. Dionna, can you share any in terms of what you've done Hollywood wise, Broadway wise?
Of course. My first movie was Little with Marsai Martin. And so she's wearing So Natural piece. And I had an amazing department head that actually placed it on her. I've worked with Simone Missick. She is a star of All Rise right now. So anytime you've ever seen All Rise and the judge, the black, beautiful judge with the 4C hair, she is so natural as well. I've worked with Ozark. I've worked with, I mean, it's the people are endless, and it's kind of interesting when I actually talk about it, because it's like, man, really, Dionna? It's kind of like, wait a minute, that's what's been going on. But I love the fact that I get to transition Black women over into what they traditionally are looked at as a straight style into what you're seeing as natural textured hair. And so that's my job. That's what they call me for. They call me for that.
How did those opportunities come along? Because you start off in your kitchen, now you're doing celebrities' hair. How did that happen?
You know what? Let me think about that. I think with my first celebrity encounter, they found me on YouTube and they flew me out to California, specifically to Bel Air. And that happened off of YouTube. And believe it or not, Instagram. People, I've even been in the hair department where they're looking at people on Instagram. So don't ever, for you guys out there, don't ever think that you're just little old you, because I could be little old me and I could very well say, hey, here's a person that specializes in this technique. You should call them. It happens in a matter of a blink of an eye. So Instagram is something too. And so that's how, and word of mouth, of course, word of mouth. And if you have enough word of mouth, people are going to be seeking, like, you'll be sought after for sure. So
just took that one phone call probably, and
you would think it takes one phone call. Actually, it doesn't. It takes several phone calls. Every single time I do a person's hair, whether it's a celebrity or not, that doesn't make me or make or break my brand or who I am. I had to learn that. It doesn't matter who the celebrity is. You continue on with every single client, even the everyday mom. You could any person, that person can lead you to somebody else. So it sometimes seems like it's one phone call, but it's several, because you got to keep on going at it every single time.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I love about you, Dionna, and I always see you in terms of your social media posts, is how well you have learned that networking and building your team is important.
Yes.
You have true industry brothers and sisters who have helped you to navigate some very, some tricky, sharky
I'm telling
waters.
Yes,
And
it's
I've
important.
been so proud of you being able to do that and learn how to make sure that you and make sure that you're opening that next door for that next Dionna.
Right. That's right. I value encouragement. I also value just seeing other talent and sharing them. It takes nothing to share someone. If you're motivating me and I see you're working hard, I absolutely love that. That fuels me. So yeah, that's how I built my brand. I think social media is a really important thing, and then building that community, like Kendra said, you have to build that community. Because what if a producer were to see something on my page and it's like, oh my gosh, is this person arrogant? They don't want those things. They will close those doors to you. So you have to remain humble through and through and through and through again, or you will shut yourself out of doors you'll never even realize you have.
I have heard that before. It's not enough to just be good at what you do. People have to also like you, because they don't want to fool with you. Be difficult.
They have to work with you.
Exactly. So, speaking of social media, how can we find you on social media? Where do we go to find you?
Well, I have Shop So Natural, which is my extension line. That is where they come to be transformed. I'm really proud of that. I have also Shop So Natural on Instagram. That's SEW Natural on Instagram. And I have a new page that I just opened up. I think it's gonna be really funny. It's So Natural at Home. So it's a little bit undone. It's the the ideas of like when you get in front of that mirror, whether you're a stylist or not, you don't always know what you're doing. So let's do it together. So that's So Natural at Home is a new part or a new side of me where you guys get to see me kind of like, listen,
figuring it out.
I'm just like you. I'm going to figure it out. So yeah.
So you don't just wake up with it glamorous all the time.
And half the time I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do with my life? Like how can I learn? How can I love more? How can I learn more? So that is not it. And I've valued the way that I've shown on social media. I've tried to always have a fine line of I'm a human. I may be a celebrity stylist. I may be a stylist. That does not make me Dionna. I'm a human. So I made sure throughout the beginning of my career, people understand you can touch me, you can feel me. I'm your friend. Yeah. So yeah, I think
that's good.
And I'm telling you, and I'm so grateful that you did do that, Dionna, because I've had, look, I told you she's the little sister to me. So I call her and there are conversations we've had about people who forget that she's a real person. So some of the things that you send to her in her DMs are shocking. Sometimes, like, wow, that's what you really think you are, worthy of saying to me. And so, yeah, remember these people, and I try to remember that too. These people are human. Yeah, they may be jet setting off here and there and meeting and whining and dining and networking with all types of people, but they're still at the bottom, they're God's children. They're human.
We don't have everything figured out.
Look,
don't have all the money in the world.
You come for me.
And thankfully, let me also piggyback on that. Thankfully, I do not have situations like that because of the way that I have carried myself throughout my career. I don't have those DMs. More than anything, when I open myself up to people, it's more of like, how can you help me in this way? And I am so thankful that the times of those moments, that it's never been anything that's been long standing. It's always been something where I need to reevaluate myself and figure out who have I aligned myself with that will bring on these types of people. So that's when you go, all right.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to one of my students. I posted this our flyer about today's show, Chantel Lewis, and one of my graduates when I was a high school principal. She said, "Oh my gosh, I love her. My dream is to do her hair one day." You don't know who you're touching. You just don't. Yes, you just don't. Yes. So she wants to do your hair, by the way.
Look,
your hair,
how about that?
Do you know how often it is that I sit down in someone else's chair at least every 7 years. I don't let people touch my hair often. It involves energy. It involves the fact that I have to know you love it. And if you do, Chantel, let's try.
That is so cool. So most recently, you've been working with Tyler Perry Studios, right?
Yes, yes.
Actors there.
Yes,
yeah.
we did a show. We filmed from December, like the whole month of December. And that was my first time getting a chance to really be really truly involved on set. Usually when they have my units, I'll fly in as a personal stylist and I'll be there on set with them. But there are different union laws. And sometimes there's those little windows you're allowed to get those build your union credits. And so I got the opportunity to work alongside some amazing stylists, Miss Shornell and Rashawn as my key stylist. And I got to be one of the lead artists for one of the lead characters. And that was something I did not expect at all. And so they were like, hey, here's your private room. Here's your actress. Do your magic. And she will also be so natural. And I cannot wait till the world sees this show.
I was going to say, can you tell who it is?
I cannot tell who it is. I cannot tell what the show is, but let me speak on this really quick. Tyler Perry Studios is based in Atlanta, Georgia. If you ever wanted to know what Wakanda felt like, that is the place. And that's it's Black excellence everywhere you turn. And I had the opportunity to work inside of the quarantine bubble. And I would have never known that being inside of the walls and confined and not being able to go outside into the real world could be so freeing. And it was one of the best experiences of my life.
Wow. That is awesome. That just sounds so exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm actually excited also to know that you are working there, or you've done some work there, because I know there's been some criticism of Tyler Perry's.
I can speak on that as well.
Yeah, speak on that.
I would love to speak on this topic. Okay. This is what the world does not know. Tyler Perry shoots up to 100 pages per day. Now, when it says pages, I don't want you guys just thinking like just normal. These are actual scripts. These are actual words of actresses, because obviously the more work you put out, the more people you get to bring in and the more Black people you get to employ. Mm-hmm. Every single show employs over hundreds of Black people. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. I will never criticize another head on anyone's head under the lines of Tyler Perry Studios. Why? Because he's actually helping Black people gain financial freedom in ways of building their careers. Now, well, let's go back to the 100 pages a day part. What that means in the actress world is that they're shooting constantly. Yeah. It doesn't stop. Mm-hmm. You can work on a Sunday, work on a Monday. You could shoot from 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. And the faster you get out of there, the faster you get to go home. Mind you, it's COVID. You don't want these people stuck in the same production for a long period. Sometimes productions go for 10 months, not a year. It could go for a long period of time. And you essentially, when you're shooting that many pages a day, you're essentially throwing hair at a wall. You have to go. You're changing scenes constantly. And people don't see it, the audience as we know it. Yeah. We see it as episodes. They shoot several episodes in one day. So you could chop up. You could do scene 8, scene 7, episode 105, episode 10, all in the same thing. Why am I so passionate about this? Because I was in that same position. I was in that same exact position where you have to flip from one scene to another scene in literally 20 minutes. And then continuity. It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. I need you guys to give this man grace and understand this man is employing so many Black and brown people. That is all I care about. And he loves them and cares about them and really, really helps to move them in, like in terms of the trajectory of their career. You're never stuck in one space with Tyler Perry. You can always venture out. If I'm a hairstylist, I want to be an actress. They even gave me a chance to be an actress. So I'm not ever, when it comes to TPS and hair, no more of that. No more of that.
Well, I appreciate your perspective. I mean, I think that's really important to hear, because it's easy for us to sit back and criticize. Yes. We're just watching the show. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes.
And imagine the actress being in that space too. Like, oh my gosh, I don't feel the best, or my makeup isn't the best right here. It affects the actress, but can they fully articulate? Can they remember their lines? Did you get the idea of what are you following a storyline? That's one thing you can do. We can keep a storyline together. The hair. But then also, let me leave you with this. This next show or series of shows that Tyler Perry is doing, you guys just pay attention, because things are changing. We're
anxious to see. I'm going to especially be looking at the hair, because I know you're involved somewhere.
For this particular project, there's several other projects, of course, in the pipeline, but this particular project, when it comes out, I will definitely be able to share. for sure.
I'm
And then look at the
excited.
hair. Look at the hair.
I can't wait. I mean, if
It's
it
gonna be
looks like
amazing.
yours, I have all confidence. I have all faith in it.
Dionna, did you mention the Broadway to movie? I hope I'm not telling on you. Did you
Was it
mention
Lion King? Lion King?
Yeah, did you mention Lion King? Did you
I
say
didn't
you haven't
mention.
told about
I didn't mention Lion King. I mean, I was on.
Upset. I'm also upset with her that she didn't send pictures of any of these things that she's done. Like we asked her to send pictures so we could show you guys. So
Let me tell you
I'm really
a
upset
secret
about
about. Let me tell you a secret about me. Okay, when it comes to me being in my work, what it involves is other people, me physically saying, "Hey, take a picture of me while I'm doing my work." Usually, I'm in such a space of gratitude, I don't even get the photos. I'll get them afterwards. And then also, remember, I work with celebrities and I work with our everyday people. If I blend those too much together, it's going to end up allowing my everyday people to think that they can't touch me anymore. And it happens. So I have to get better with that. But I know it's a conscious effort in me saying, hey, and that almost seems pretentious. Like, can you take a picture of me doing this person's hair? It seems weird, but people do it all the time. People do it all the time. And I'm just like, let me do my job. Let me make sure you look good and I'll worry about me later. But yeah, Lion King. I did the Lion King press tour. I think it was 2019. I think the latest Lion King with Mrs. Knowles and Shahadi. I did young Nala's hair during the press tour, and it was an amazing experience. Like, there's so many things you learn, and so many things that you get to see that you're like, this is how people live. I have tons of this how people live stories. Like, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, it's amazing. It's a whole other world out there. Let's just say that.
What I've also found amazing is the number of people who with their money is long. You may not know them. They're not celebrities, but they have long money. And they'll say, Dionna, I want to fly you here. I want to fly you there. I'm like, girl, what?
Listen.
There's opportunities.
Yeah.
Listen. My first trip was to Nigeria, a billionaire. They have about 10 followers on Instagram and no profile picture.
Wow.
Be mindful of who you speak with and be mindful who you talk to and always treat everyone with respect.
Wow. Hey, I feel like we can leave it right there.
That's a word right there. That's the word.
That's it. There's nothing more that needs to be said. I love that we've had this conversation because you bring a perspective to this topic that we've been discussing so far that I really appreciate. It's a unique one. And also the behind the scenes view that you have of celebrities who we admire and look at and hold in high esteem. I think that you are in a unique position to have influence in those spaces that most people don't have. And I feel like your spirit is so positive that you're bringing something to those spaces that is very needed. So I appreciate that about you.
I appreciate you. Thank you. It's important. They're people.
Yeah.
One more thing. I want to make sure that we highlight the fact that Dionna is not just doing this for her and she's got her network, but she's also thinking about the generation behind her. So just really quickly, I want to give a shout out to her daughters, Jada and Ari, who have been watching mommy since they were very little. They were friends of my daughter, Jillian. And so I shout out you, Dionna, as a mom who continues to nurture them and show them that that this is mommy and they can do this too.
Yes, the level of entrepreneurship and showing the next generation that there is another world that you can lead your path. It's so incredibly important to me. And I wish that's another story I want to share one day about exactly who I do this for and what I do on the daily. It's nothing like what you guys see on Instagram. You guys wouldn't believe it.
That's good stuff. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story, and keep doing what you do. We're going to be watching. I'm going to be looking very carefully at the TV shows and movies that come out. I wonder if
things will change now. You'll start seeing things a little differently, and it's a lot of different things that involve TV hair versus everyday hair, reality hair, episode hair, and it's so many cool things that we don't pay attention to as the audience, but one day we'll get to share.
I love it. Well, thank you again for coming, and we will definitely be following you on Instagram to see what new things you are involved with. Kendra, the goal of this whole conversation that we've been having is to not, as I said before, not to focus on what people are doing with their hair, whether it's perm or a wig or whether it's natural. But I really want us as Black women to get to a place where we are accepting of our natural beauty and not wanting to diminish that. I love that she's doing things that are enhancing that natural beauty that we bring. And I think that it's so important for us to have that thing on the inside that that comes forward, and rather than grasping for the external things that will make us something, you know what I mean? And so I know that as Black women, that's something that we struggle with in different ways for different reasons. But I think if you can get to that place of inner sort of stability and acceptance of yourself, it will take you a long way, as I think Dionna exemplifies so well.
Very much so. And I'm just so thankful that she's passionate about sharing that with her daughters and the next generation to come. You know, I had a wonderful mother. I had wonderful aunts and big cousins that were able to impart that into me. And we must recognize how critical it is for us as Black women to continue to do that for our children. And I think that the more we do that, and as generations see our embracing of our natural beauty, hey, you know, years from now, our natural look will be the look. And you know what I'm saying?
I am here for that. I am here for that. Yes.
I said it first.
Speak it into existence, girl. Speak it into existence. All right. Well, let's move to our scripture. We just have 2 for today, but I think they're appropriate.
I think they're absolutely appropriate. So the first scripture of this week is, to all who mourn in Israel, he will give a crown of beauty for ashes, a joyous blessing instead of mourning, festive praise instead of despair. In their righteousness, they will be great like oaks that the world has planted for his own glory. Isaiah 61:3. The second verse, you are altogether beautiful, my darling, beautiful in every way. Song of Songs 4:7. Wow. Song of Solomon?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. My error and misreading that.
I know.
But here, look, that's a mantra that we need to read to ourselves every single day.
Yeah.
Knowing who we are and who created us, we are beautiful in every way. Beautiful in every way.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, is accepting that, because God made us, and he made us to be beautiful for him, right? So it's deeper than it's deeper than skin, right? It's deeper than hair. It's deeper than physical attributes. So we just
here's the thing, Kim. Here's the thing. All this can go. All this is gonna age.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we got to have something deeper to anchor us. So absolutely. This has been so good. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm so glad that you were here with me to talk to our guest today. And
I'm so proud of her. I'm extremely proud of her, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to share my Dionna with this world.
Yeah.
I mean, she's mine, but not really mine.
She's yours.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course. I got you. Well, next week we are actually shifting gears a little bit. The last couple of weeks have been all about hair, but next week we're going to talk to someone who is doing something really unique. I'm anxious to introduce you to Dr. Daniels, who is a dentist, but she's doing it in a really unique way. So we're not just talking about teeth, we're talking about other aspects of beauty. She has what she calls a dental spa, right? Like, who thinks of a dentist and a spa in the same in the same category? But we're going to hear more about that next week. So I'm excited for you to join us. Until then, God bless you. Be blessed. Have a great week. Stay warm. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, girl.
Take care.
Hey, girl. We hope you've enjoyed our conversations on Black women and beauty. So why not invite a friend to join us again next week? Our conversation continues with Dr. Tanisha Daniels, owner of Premier Dental Spa, a one-of-a-kind center for health and beauty. Bet you've never met a dentist like this. Save the date and we'll see you soon.